The Hamas-run Gazan Health Ministry says 104 people have been killed during an aid delivery in Gaza City. The Israeli Defense Forces say the incident is under review. I'm joined now by Israeli government spokesman Avi Hyman. Avi, thank you very much for joining us today. What are you able to tell us? Are you able to give us any information about this incident?
Tragic images coming out of Gaza. It's obviously an unfolding story, an unfolding situation. My understanding currently is that lorries were coming in with aid from the Rafah crossing, which connects Egypt and the Gaza Strip. And as those lorries of aid were coming in, they were overpowered. They were overwhelmed, I should say, by Gazan civilians trying to violently loot from those aid trucks. And at some point, the driver, who was himself a Gazan civilian, plowed into the crowd. And my understanding is that there's tens of casualties. Again, it's unfolding, and I would encourage you to be in close touch with the Israel Defense Forces, who are investigating. It's looking into what happened there.
What about live fire? Can you confirm that live fire was used by the Israeli Defense Forces on these people who were seeking aid?
No, I can't confirm that. I can tell you that historically, I have no reason to think this happened now, but I can tell you historically that Hamas has spied on people trying to take aid. The problem that we're facing here.
So you're suggesting that these people who died today may have been fired on by Hamas?
No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying that has happened in the past. The problem that we're facing is that we are doing our utmost as Israel and together with the international community to get in as much humanitarian aid as possible, and we're trying to make sure that that gets the people that need it most. Now, what Hamas is trying to do constantly is to steal that aid. So you have a situation like what we saw today, where people are desperate to get aid because Hamas is not allowing them to get the aid that we are pushing through. Now, there are no limits.
People who live in the Gaza Strip will say, and I'm not at all denying what you're saying about Hamas and what they are doing inside Gaza, but also there is a clear issue getting aid into Gaza, and that is controlled by Israel, the amount of aid that gets in. And if you look at what happened today, perhaps does that tell us anything about the desperation of some people for the meagre amounts of aid that do get in?
There are no limits on the amount of aid that can go into Gaza. Let me say that again. There are no limits from the Israeli side on the amounts of aid.
Israel is stopping aid getting through. Israel is limiting how much is able to cross the border. We know that.
We are doing our absolute utmost to get as much aid as possible into the Gaza Strip. We're doing that through multiple crossings into Gaza. We're now doing it, as I'm sure you've seen the footage and shown the footage. We're doing it by air. Just yesterday, we airdropped a substantial amount of aid that came through with the help of our allies around the world, including Arab allies. And like I said, the situation in Gaza, the humanitarian situation in Gaza, was brought upon the people of Gaza by Hamas when they invaded our borders, beheaded, raped, mutilated, burnt entire families alive on October 7th. Then we had to respond.
Will the amount of aid that's going through now stop? Because we have a tweet from Itamar Ben-Gvir, who's the Minister for National Security, which says, today it was proven that the transfer of humanitarian aid to Gaza is not only madness while our abductees are being held in the Strip. This is another clear reason why we must stop transferring this aid, which is in fact aid to harm the IDF soldiers and oxygen to Hamas. Do you think the Israeli government will stop all aid going in now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Israel is a democracy, is a vibrant democracy with many opinions on many things, including, as you've just read, people in the government have different feelings. It is somewhat controversial to many Israelis that there are 134 Israelis being held in Gaza currently, which is a crime against humanity. They were taken from their beds on a Saturday morning on a Jewish festival and pulled into the Gaza Strip, men, women, children, and babies. And some Israelis have a problem with the aid going through to Hamas. Now, I think if Britain was facing the same threat could you imagine, Britain dropping aid into Germany towards the end of 1945? That wouldn't happen. But what we're doing is we are pinpointing the Hamas terrorists, and we're doing our utmost to get the aid to the people that need it, while Hamas is trying to take it away. While the
You
people
mentioned
Sorry.
what happened on, sorry, just saying, you mentioned what happened on October the 7th, and no one is doubting the horror of what happened that day. But today we have seen the death toll of those killed in Gaza passing the 30,000 mark. Some 12,000 of those believed to be members of Hamas. That leaves 18,000 civilians. What do you feel about the passing of this marker?
So I'll stress what you just said. Those are Hamas figures. Those are figures coming out of the same people that were burning entire families alive, that used rape as a weapon. So I will take those.
They're the only figures we have because journalists can't get into Gaza.
I will take those numbers not with a pinch of salt, but with a bucket of salt, because they're coming out of Hamas. What I will say is that we've actually killed in excess of 14,000 terrorists, both Hamas and Islamic Jihad. We have taken out 18 out of 24 Hamas battalions. We have 4 more in the Rafah area that we intend to go after. And then once that operation in Rafah starts, we were talking about the end of the war could be within weeks, not months. So we have a clear vision for victory. We said we have 3 objectives in this war. One is to destroy Hamas, to bring home every last hostage, and to ensure that Gaza cannot become a threat to Israel, cannot be a launching pad for terror to Israel.
Okay, we will leave it there. We're out of time. Avi Hyman, Israeli government spokesman, thank you for joining us on Sky.
Thank you very much.